Eugenio Squeedy had always suspected he was meant for more than rearranging rocks on the reef and matching sea anemones to their proper color palettes. He had 8 quick, clever arms, an eye for detail, and a reckless streak that was the bane of every crab constable in the bay. So when a wayward tide dislodged an advertisement for the Cuttle Harbor Transit Authority now hiring drivers with flexible schedules, Eugene decided the universe was winking at him. Of course, they didn't specify flexible tentacles, but that was a mere technicality. One muggy Monday, he slithered up the boat ramp, borrowed a discarded rain poncho, and headed for the downtown depot. 3 startled pedestrians fainted, but Eugene had thoughtfully brought along a spray bottle, spritzing them back to consciousness before continuing on his merry way. The hiring manager, a weary walrus of a man named Frank Flannery, stared wide-eyed as Eugene squeezed through the doorway, leaving suction cup prints all over the glass. "Can't say we've had your kind apply before," Frank muttered, kneading his forehead. "I'm highly adaptable," Eugene said, producing 8 laminated references simultaneously. A starfish who once starred in soap operas, a jellyfish yoga guru, and an irritable sea bass who added a begrudging he gets things done. Eugene fanned the cards like a magician. Frank's jaw lowered with each slap of plastic on the desk. Frank sighed. "Regulations'll have my hide, but you know what? Our last applicant tried to text while driving and parked the bus in a fountain. You can't possibly be worse. Orientation starts now." Eugene was outfitted with a custom driver's seat, essentially a water-filled kiddie pool bolted to the floor and covered by a tarp to stop sloshing during tight turns. He figured he'd refill it at city hydrants. Management figured this counted as reasonable accommodation. Training week was an aquatic blur of squeaky windshield wiper tests, safety videos, and Eugene's impromptu demonstrations of knot tying with stray seatbelts. By Friday, he'd aced the practical exam, parallel parking the 40-foot bus with 2 wheels on a penny Frank had dropped. "I can't believe I'm stamping this," Frank groaned, signing off on the license. Eugene responded by ink printing a grateful tentacle-tip signature that looked suspiciously like a smiley face. Tuesday, 6:03 AYEM, Route 17 Crosstown Express became Eugene's maiden voyage. The bus smelled of old upholstery, burnt coffee, and fresh calamari jokes brewing in gossip corners. Eugene wheeled inside, filling the driver's aquarium seat with enough salt water to keep his skin supple. Between enthusiastic gurgles, he performed a pre-departure checklist that would make an astronaut blush. Arm 1, suggest mirrors. Arm 2, fasten driver's lap belt. Arm 3, flip destination sign to downtown loop. Arm 4, cue lively sea shanties on the intercom. Arm 5, dispense complimentary breath mints into the change tray. Arm 6, test the air horn. It quacked like a duck. Eugene adored it. Arm 7, hold a safety brochure. Arm 8, wave at early bird stumbling aboard. The first passenger, Mrs. Henrietta Blodgett, tax auditor and part-time baton twirler, froze midway up the steps. "Driver," she said slowly, "you appear moist." "Hydration is 9/10 of punctuality," Eugene chirped, handing her a towel with one arm while another printed her ticket. Another accepted her fare, and a fourth offered a high five. She sat, bemused, patting her hair into submission. At Maple and 3rd, Eugene picked up a gaggle of high schoolers sipping neon energy drinks. They stared at him the way cats watch laser pointers. "Dude, your Uber's an octopus," one whispered. Eugene elevated a brow ridge. "Public transit, my caffeinated friends. Respect the bus is large, temperamental, and prefers compliments over gum under the seats." They laughed, scattered, then immediately tested the no-gum policy. Arm 6 deployed a mini vacuum to whisk the contraband away. Arm 7 issued a polite citation printed on bubblegum-scented paper. Point made. The morning rolled smoothly until the intersection at Harbor and 12th, where Eugene discovered a downside to having 8 arms. People assumed you were a perpetual help desk. A tourist couple needed directions to the lighthouse. Arm 1 produced a paper map. Arm 2 circled their spot in red ink. Arm 3 folded the map into an origami seahorse as a souvenir. An elderly man couldn't reach the pull cord. Arm 4 extended 6 feet back to tug it for him. A toddler dropped her lollipop. Arm 5 retrieved, sanitized, and returned it in under 3 seconds, leaving the child blinking like an unplugged router. Somewhere between all that, Eugene still steered, braked, signaled, and remained 3 minutes ahead of schedule. The onboard clock applauded. Then came the pothole. It wasn't so much a pothole as a geological sink to the core of the earth, a gaping abyss disguised by a puddle. When the front tires dipped, the bus lurched like a pirate ship in a typhoon. Screams, coffee showers, flailing limbs. Eugene sprang into circus act mode. Arm 1 yanked the handrail to save a tumbling saxophonist. Arm 2 righted a double stroller. Arm 3 spun the steering wheel. Arm 4 flicked on hazard lights. Arm 5 unscrewed the bus's fire extinguisher to double as a seat prop for someone who'd lost theirs. Arm 6 pressed the PA button. Buckle up, dear riders, unexpected moon crater in lane 3. Arm 7 braced his kiddie pool so the tidal wave inside wouldn't drench the transmission. Arm 8 unwrapped a spare protein bar and fed it to a fainting accountant. The bus emerged from the pit, wobbling but intact. Passengers erupted into applause mixed with terror giggles. Eugene took a bow difficult, head bobbing on stalks above the driver partition. When they reached Central Station, an inspector boarded, clipboard in hand. "We received a report about reckless driving." Eugene produced dashcam footage from Arm 2. Arm 3 fast-forwarded to the crater moment. Arm 4 displayed tire pressure readouts. Arm 5 offered the inspector a latte brewed on a portable espresso rig he'd stowed behind the seat. The inspector watched, sipped, and finally shrugged. "Carry on, Mr. O'Squiddy. And, could you teach the department coffee course?" Delighted," Eugene said. He'd never brewed coffee before that moment, but how hard could it be? He had arms to spare. By end of day 1, Eugene's ridership satisfaction survey read like fan mail. "Best commute ever. Wish all drivers were cephalopods." He played harmonica with Tentacle 11. Does he even have 11? Day 2, Eugene conquered multitasking on a new level, debuting live bus bingo. Whenever a passenger witnessed an outlandish scenario, couple dancing tango in aisle, pigeon hitching a ride, Eugene tying a Windsor knot around the rearview mirror. They stamped a square. Full bingo earned a coupon for free kelp chips at Salty's Deli. But the real adventure kicked off Wednesday afternoon when Frank radioed with an urgent reroute. "Bridge Street Parade got rescheduled last second. You're the closest bus with clearance to detour through Old Wharf." Old Wharf was a labyrinth of skinny cobblestone lanes, low-hanging laundry lines, and fishermen who treated traffic laws as polite suggestion. "No problem," Eugene said. He reset mirrors, adjusted mood lighting to optimistic teal, and turned onto Barnacle Boulevard. 10 feet in, he discovered the boulevard was narrower than most garden hoses. To accommodate, Eugene folded the side mirrors in with 2 arms, squeezed tentacles 3 and 4 through windows to gauge clearance like periscopes, and used Arm 5 to ring the bell in case seabirds descended. Halfway along the block, a delivery truck blocked the lane. Its driver was inside a bakery arguing over the price of day-old biscotti. The passengers groaned. A schedule disruption meant missed meetings, missed TV episodes, and missed opportunities to finish online quizzes titled, "Which 90s pop song describes your aura?" Eugene hatched a plan. Arm 1 popped the hood latch. Arm 2 extended beneath the bus, shifting gears into neutral. Arm 3 clamped onto the delivery truck's rear bumper. Arm 4 wound around a lamppost for leverage. Arm 5 gripped the bus's own internal handrail, bracing like a tug-of-war anchor. Arm 6, 7, and 8 acted as a unified winch system, shimmying and hauling until the truck rolled forward 10 feet, just enough for the bus to slip by. Eugene executed a 3-point turn of such precision that Mary Poppins would have tutted. Practically perfect. The baker emerged with her biscotti bag in time to see her delivery truck idling mysteriously ahead. The passengers erupted into applause again, demanding encore feats. Eugene flicked the cabin lights to disco mode. Spontaneous karaoke soared. But the enemy of flawless busmanship is complacency, and Eugene would soon face his greatest peril: rush hour. 5 p.m. traffic in Cuttle Harbor was a slug migration entangled in spaghetti. Honking, Cursing, exhaust fumes thick enough to frost a cake, it was here that Eugene's 8-limb dexterity would be tested like never before. First challenge, a trio of cyclists weaving unpredictably. Arm 1 held wheel steady. Arm 2 signaled a wide berth. Arm 3 activated the ring-ding courtesy chime. Arm 4 tossed reflective vest toward the cyclists, fashionable and safety-minded. Next challenge, a texting driver drifting into Eugene's lane. Arm 5 tapped the air horn quack, snapping the driver back to reality. The driver glanced over, spotted an octopus, and slammed on the brakes in existential alarm. Eugene waved all 8 arms simultaneously in an international sign for please stay in your life and maybe rethink your life choices. Yet greater chaos brewed ahead. An overturned hot dog cart leaking relish, blocking 2 lanes. Police hadn't arrived. Eugene hit the PA. "Hang tight, folks, time for community service." He parked, hazard lights flashing. Arms 1-4 shepherded passengers to safety on nearby sidewalk. Arms 5-7 righted the cart, reassembled buns and condiments with culinary grace. Arm 8 scribbled, "Free dogs, courtesy of Bus 17," on a cardboard scrap, turning a traffic nightmare into instant block party. The smell of grilling mystery meat brought out office workers who, moments earlier, were pounding dashboards in frustration. Now they mingled, laughed, and filmed Eugene for social media. Octopus went viral within the hour, racking up 1 million views and sparking debates about sustainable public transit and whether octopuses qualified for overtime. Frank called, "You're trending. Corporate wants a photo." Eugene pivoted all 8 arms into an elegant star, passengers cheering behind him while someone's chihuahua licked relish off his 4th tentacle. Snapshot secured. But not everyone adored Eugene's charmed rise. The elusive, notoriously cranky union rep, Dolores Pinfeather, who believed novelty drivers threatened job security, decided it was time to bring the octopus down a peg. Thursday morning, she boarded disguised in oversized sunglasses and a trench coat. Classic spy couture, ignoring that she also wore the union's bright orange lapel pin. Eugene greeted her politely, offered a bingo card, and executed normal duties. Dolores scribbled notes. Driver juggles tasks, possible violation of Article 12, Section B, CLIMS exceeding standard allotment. She waited for a slip-up. An opportunity arrived when a prankster teenager pulled the emergency exit handle for fun, setting off alarms. Dolores smirked, but Eugene flew into action. Arm 1 steered into a safe pull-out zone. Arm 2 engaged parking brake. Arm 3 pressed intercom. False alarm detected, remain calm. Arm 4 reset the door sensor. Arm 5 radio dispatch. Arm 6 gently guided the red-faced prankster to a seat. Arm 7 retrieved a laminated code of conduct and had the teen read paragraph 3 aloud. Arm 8 offered Dolores a complimentary lemon scone for the inconvenience. Dolores bit into the scone, begrudgingly impressed. She scratched out her earlier note and wrote, "Remarkably efficient crisis management. Probably a fluke." Her second chance came at Elm Street Bridge, where road construction forced a single narrow lane. At the worst possible moment, the bus faced an oncoming cement mixer whose driver had misread the flagger's sign. Dolores braced, ready to witness carnage, perfect grounds for her grievance letter. Instead, Eugene's limbs became choreography. Arm 1 flicked high beams. Arm 2 switched the interior lights to strobe so his bulk looked bigger. Arm 3 beeped Morse code for yield. Arm 4 grabbed the PA, asking passengers to lean right. Arm 5 twirled the wheel, threading the bus along the bridge's edge with clearance equal to the thickness of a library card. The cement mixer eased by, its driver slack-jawed as passengers applauded again. Dolores sighed, scrawled, "Driver may actually be wizard." She disembarked, defeated yet deeply appreciative of the safe commute. By Friday, Eugene was legend. Morning TV talk shows clamored for interviews. Commuters rerouted just to ride Bus 17. Children waved plush octopus toys from sidewalks, but legend status beckoned bigger problems. A surprise inspection by the state transportation commissioner, a stern woman named Cordelia Brack, rumored to grade with red ink made from dragon's blood. She appeared at the depot wielding clipboards stacked like granite slabs. "I've heard fantastical claims," Cordelia started, addressing Frank and Eugene. "Eight-arm driving, espresso machines in transit vehicles, unauthorized bingo." Eugene straightened, water sloshing. "I can demonstrate full compliance." Cordelia boarded for an unannounced ride-along covering the most demanding segments: Pothole Alley, School Zone, and the freeway interchange shaped like a pretzel on roller skates. The bus pulled from the depot. Eugene engaged cruise mode of madcap efficiency. Cordelia observed like a hawk. First test. Little Sprouts preschool crossing. Eugene reduced speed to snail pace, extended arm 3 out the window holding a miniature stop sign, and led the crossing guard in a synchronous dance to entertain the toddlers while ensuring safety. Cordelia's eyebrow quivered, but she said nothing. Second test. Downtown Charity Marathon rerouting traffic unpredictably. Eugene plotted alt course in 0.7 seconds, announced it to passengers, flagged other buses over radio, and used Arm 6 to pass paper cups of water to runners as they streamed by. Third test, freeway interchange. A sudden torrential downpour slicked the roads. Wind gusts howled. Visibility blinked to nearly zero. Cordelia tightened her seatbelt. Eugene dimmed cabin lights, activated fog lamps, and used an arm to wipe his windscreen from inside the enclosure. Squeegees were so mainstream. He maintained impeccable spacing, signaled with zeal, and narrated each maneuver, merging like a sea turtle finding open water. Halfway up the ramp, a car spun out, blocking 2 lanes. Eugene could either brake hard, risking a pileup, or weave through minuscule shoulder space. He took option Octopus. Arm 1 feathered brakes to slow without fishtailing. Arms 2 and 3 guided the steering. Arm 4 deployed flares from the emergency kit to warn trailing cars. Arm 5 broadcast hazard alerts over CB radio. Arm 6 and 7 recalculated trajectory via onboard nav tablet, triple tapping like a pianist. Arm 8, not one for idleness, passed Cordelia a herbal lozenge. When she started coughing from nerves, the bus threaded the eye of the needle, passengers still upright, coffee still mostly in cups. Cordelia swallowed, scribbled something with trembling hand. When they reached the next safe exit, Eugene pulled over for post-incident protocol. Cordelia inspected every item, from seatbelts to the humidity of Eugene's pool. 70%. Perfect. She consulted her monster clipboards and, Heather dramatic pause, announced, "In my 32 years, I've never given a score this high. Bus 17's operation is exemplary." Frank exhaled so loudly pigeons took flight from the depot roof. The city council soon held a press conference, mayor gripping a novelty oversized key to the city, shaped suspiciously like a tentacle. Eugene was honored for heroic multitasking and fearless dedication to commuter well-being. Reporters asked about secrets of success. "I practice positive suction," Eugene quipped. "Stick to the task at hand, hands plural. Stay fluid, and remember everyone on board has somewhere important to go, even if it's just the donut shop." Crowd chuckled, charmed. But Eugene knew accolades weren't the reward. His joy came from everyday escapades, calming a panicked cat in a carrier, reuniting a dropped wedding ring with its owner, or conjuring a makeshift umbrella out of receipts for a passenger caught in surprise rain as they disembarked. Saturday rolled in. Eugene clocked in early as usual. It was farmers market day, the route busiest with spinach enthusiasts. Frank waved him over. "Got a surprise for you," Frank said, leading him to the garage. There stood a retrofitted double-decker bus, custom-tinted aquatic blue. Its upper deck was an open-air observation platform. Its driver's seat, a throne-like aquarium with temperature controls, built-in foot massage jets, and a retractable sunshade shaped like coral. Eugene's mantle flushed magenta. "For me, the city's launching a sightseeing loop," Frank explained. "We figured you're already half the attraction." Sandwiching Frank in a 6-arm hug, 2 remained politely steering clear of HR issues. Eugene accepted. On the inaugural voyage, kids crowded the upper deck waving bubble blowers as Eugene narrated city history in a deep baritone, occasionally sprinkling aquatic fun facts. On your left, the museum fun story. I once outdebated a curator about whether squid ink could be considered performance art. Tourists gasped delighted. Mid-rack, a runaway parade float. A giant inflatable duck broke free of its tethers, bobbing across the street. Eugene's passengers squealed. Eugene simply sized up the situation. Arm 1 applied brakes. Arm 2 opened roof hatch. Arms 3, 4, 5 shot upward armed with spare bus washing squeegee poles, hooking the inflatable string. Arm 6 orchestrated the choir of passengers chanting, "Reel it in, reel it in." Arm 7 tied the float to a lamppost using nautical knots so perfect a scout leader on board fainted in admiration. Arm 8 took selfies with breathless tourists. When the parade committee retrieved their duck, they invited Eugene to be Grand Marshal next year. He accepted with zero hesitation. As twilight painted the skyline a purpley peach, Eugene steered his gleaming double-decker along Sunset Bluff, every seat full. The city lights shimmered across the bay like constellations. Eugene felt a ripple of contentment roll through all 8 limbs. A little girl tapped his glass partition. "Mr. Octopus driver, do you ever get tired?" Eugene considered. "Sometimes my third arm gets the hiccups," he admitted, but then arm 6 steps up. "Teamwork is built in when you're an octopus," she giggled, handing over a sticker shaped like a sparkle heart. Eugene stuck it near the dashboard. The bus crested the hill, and the collective gasp at the view was reward enough. Eugene toggled the PA to soft jazz, dimmed cabin lights, and allowed a moment of hush. Behind him, passengers from every scattered walk of life sat together, sharing kettle corn and smartphone photos, their earlier anxieties forgotten on the roadside with potholes and traffic jams. The miraculous novelty of a cephalopod chauffeur had united them in simple wonder. Eugene O. Squiddy concluded that surprising people into happiness might just be his life's work. Driving a city bus, Octopus style, was the perfect canvas. He guided the vehicle back to the depot beneath a sky now splashed with stars, each glimmer mirrored in the puddles left from his own portable ocean. As engines cooled and passengers drifted away with reluctant smiles, Eugene popped the hatch of his aquarium seat, stretched all 8 arms, and saluted the night. "Same time tomorrow," he promised the empty aisle. Because for an octopus with 8 arms, there was always another wheel to turn, another knot to untie, and another adventure just around the next stop.